as with any type of internet information, if this doesn't resonate, don't pay it any mind. And if it does, pay it a little bit of mind, okay? Or a lot of mind, okay? So, karma, spite, and might. I'm gonna attempt to like reframe karma for a certain perspective, okay? And some people understand karma to be cause and effect, right? Karma is cause and effect. So because this happened, that happened. Because this didn't happen, that didn't happen. Because that didn't happen, this happened. Because this happened, that didn't happen. Okay, that's what karma is. Like, because of one thing, something else was a result. So I'll speak in regard to, like, I guess it applies to relationship, and also if you're by yourself, like something by yourself. Like, when it's time to deal with negative karma, which is the things you don't like, right? The things you don't want to have to face, the things you don't want to have to deal with. Like, it's a part of the growth and the evolution and the ascension of yourself. You know, like, it's not a burden. And I feel like when people talk about curses, like, we're dealing with patterns, right? You're dealing with patterns of behavior or patterns of choices and stuff like that. And when it becomes clear to you that you have something that you need to rectify, like, that's breaking the curse and that's breaking the pattern. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not meant to be a burden, though. Like, ultimately, it's something that's going to help you on your path. Okay? So it's like, negative karma, when that comes around, or karmic cycle comes around, you're not going to like what you have to do. Like, it's not about liking it. Like, you can see how it's beneficial and how it can help you down the line, and ultimately, you know, once you've healed some things. But it's like, you're not going to want to do it, you're not going to like to do it, you know, but it's required to be done and rectified or corrected, because it's time for it to. Okay? When it comes to relationships, it's like the actions and choices that were made that were not true or fair or healthy, you have to make right in your own relationships. Okay? So anything that was not true, fair, or healthy in past relationships, you are being called to make right in your relationships. And again, it's not a burden. Like, this could be friend to friend, platonic, romantic, parental, okay? But if you're a parent, that's definitely karma. Like, being a parent is karmic. I don't know if you've ever heard that, or if anybody's ever told you that, but that is the prime example. Giving birth to a child on the planet, that's karma. Positive and negative. Okay? It's meant to be positive and negative. For some people, more negative. For some people, more positive. For some people, an equal balance of two. But that is a karmic relationship. It's having children. Okay? So it's ultimately for your good when you go through uncomfortable things. Like, it's like exercise and working out. It's the perfect example. Like, it's uncomfortable. You don't like it. You don't want to do it sometimes, but you know you're going to gain from it. You know you're going to benefit from it. So when we experience discomfort in situations and relationships, that's the perspective that can be activated. Okay? That what I'm feeling or what I'm dealing with is ultimately something that's going to better me. I may not like it. Here's an example I gave someone this morning, actually, where it was like, I enjoy solitude, right? As a person, I always have. And my child enjoys being more social. I don't. It's not something that I really like. It's not something that I enjoy more than solitude. You see what I'm saying? Like, I can have a good time and, you know, I can enjoy myself in social situations, but I prefer and I find more joy in solitude, where my child, he's a social butterfly. So I have to put myself in so many social situations that I would rather not. But the karma is, this is something for me to learn how to balance within myself. One, right? I'm not meant to, based on me dealing with this karma, I'm not meant to just stay in solitude 24/7, right? I have to gain a familiarity with being more social and also being an example for my child, and then also providing what he needs in his life. You see what I'm saying? So I have to take a step back and realize that my karma is making sure that he's on his path, even if it brings me discomfort, but at the same time, it's bringing me some type of benefit to socialize and have more connections and build connections in a healthy way. You see what I'm saying? So if what you're dealing with karma isn't helping you, and I don't mean having to put you through like the most tumultuous things, like that's the worst kind of karma. When you're going through the serious like ups and downs and the pain and the trauma and the abuse and all that's like the worst kind. But if it's just something that you may not favor or prefer, it helps to take the perspective that this is for you too. Okay, and even if it's not in regards to relationships and something by yourself. Say, that was just my example as a parent, because even if you don't have children, you might have that same kind of example where you like being by yourself, you don't like being out and about, but you're being called to have to be out and about in some kind of way and be social, but it's working for your benefit because something needs to grow, right? Like I said before, like separation, when separation happens for some type of creation to take shape or take form, and something needs to grow. So that separation also applies to our beliefs. When we separate ourselves from the things that we believe to be true about ourselves or to be definite about ourselves, we find that some situation or circumstance or relationship comes in to change that. And so we have to separate from our beliefs, right? And then learn something new for something else to grow, which is, our spirit, right? And to progress on our path of ascension or evolution, right? Now, spite. Spite gets in the way of that evolution or that progression. Right? Spite gets in the way of that. Spite is malice. Spite is hurt. Spite is wounding. Spite is a desire to hurt, annoy, or offend somebody. And you'll find this in a lot of, healing spaces and places, or certain healers, and it's a part of the path. So I can't say you shouldn't be spiteful, but you shouldn't stay spiteful. You know what I'm saying? Like it's part of emotion, and there's no emotion is a problem. Like no feeling is a problem. So if you feel spite, then that's just part of the process, but you don't want to stay there. That's not the end goal, to be spiteful. The end goal is to be at peace and to be, understanding and accepting of things that have happened to you, with you, or by you. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so like with spite, like there's anger and spite, right? And so anger, if you've ever seen the show American Gods, which I'm sad it's not a show anymore, but on the show American Gods, like the Nancy character, he talks about anger getting shit done. Excuse my language. He talks about anger getting shit done, and it's like anger is a form of passion, okay? And it shows you what you value and what you care about. That's what anger shows you. Like you care about something so passionately, so deeply. You value something so passionately, so deeply that it brings up the feeling of anger. And so the goal is to learn how to transmute that and channel it so that you do no harm or no damage, be it physically, verbally, or otherwise. Okay? It's when it comes to like a verbal expression, it's like being able to speak or tell the truth with being aware of what you're feeling versus what's real and what's the matter, because there's the matter that you're dealing with and then there's your emotions. You don't want to make your emotion of anger or spite be the star of the show when you're dealing with things. You want the matter or the situation to be the star of the show, because that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're trying to get to the root to when we're dealing with something that's unfavorable or unpleasant. You ask, what's the matter? We're not trying to deal with the emotion, we're dealing with the matter. You deal with the emotion before you get to the matter. This is why you take your time to take your deep breaths, take a walk, or whatever when you're angry, because that's not the problem. The problem isn't, I need this person or the situation to change what I feel. I need to get into what I'm feeling and figure out what's the matter and what has triggered this feeling. You see what I'm saying? So it's not your anger that's the problem. Feelings are not the problem. It's the choices that we make and the actions that we take by way of emotions that can be problematic or cause problems. Okay? Now, strength. Well, might. And I'm using that as strength, right? Might is strength. And it's in a holistic way. It's like your mind's strong, your spirit's strong, your body's strong. And like those are the three that need work holistically in order to deal with these type of things. Like this is shadow work. You know what I'm saying? This is part of shadow work. Like I'll probably title this like shadow work, karma, spite, and might, because it's like this is what you deal with shadow work. You're dealing with the past, you're dealing with the present, you're dealing with the residue of the past, which is karmic. Okay? So it's like your strength has to be holistic. Your strength has to be in your mind, emotions, your spirit, your body, and your soul ultimately is the blueprint, and it's the knowing. Right? And your spirit is leading you to the experiences, the circumstances, relationships to rectify those things that need to be corrected. But the biggest question that you ask yourself is, what spirit is leading you? Because spirits can be good or evil, quote unquote, right? So we say spirit leads all the time, but like what kind of spirit? Like spirits aren't just all divine. Some spirits are devilish. So going back to spite and going back to emotions, like when you lead with emotion, what kind of spirit is leading that emotion? Is it a devilish spirit that wants to inflict harm or offense or something? Or are you being led by a divine spirit that's being led in patience and kindness? It's checks and balances. It's a self-check system. I'm on the path too. Like I'm still learning. This is a work in progress, work in process conversation. But I'm sharing this so that, you know, other people can maybe gain some perspective or gain some clarity on how to deal with their self-reflective processes when you're dealing with shadow work, and understanding what karma represents, but then also understanding the kind of strength that is required and awareness that is required to deal with karmic experiences. Okay? So it's a big question to ask. Like spirit leads, yes, but there's many different types of spirits. And you ask yourself, is the spirit I'm led with in a devilish manner, demonic manner, or is the spirit I'm led with in a more divine manner? And you have to take that time to regulate and transmute your emotional energy to express yourself in a way that is not destructive or is not harmful or damaging in some kind of a way. But it's all a part of the process. It's all a part of the life. You know what I'm saying? It's all a part of the journey. Right? You can't escape karmic experiences. You just learn how to handle them. You learn how to navigate them with awareness and practice with yourself. When you're in your times of isolation or reflection, like you think about these things, and you have to go back to the past sometimes and think about the ways that you may have reacted, or the choices that you made out of the expression of emotion without checking, without the strength part of it. Okay? Because spirits be strong. Like just as strong, like, you know, when you're healing and you're like dealing with certain forces that you're trying to overcome, like like that's evident in how real spiritual warfare can be, because you're not in control. Like that's a telltale sign that you're not in control, especially if you regret or feel shameful when you make certain decisions or choices and actions out of the expression of emotion that are harmful or damaging or hurtful. Like when you have that moment like, ooh, I shouldn't have did that, or ooh, I shouldn't have said that. Like that shows you that there's some type of energy or spirit that is in control of you, and you want to check it and become aware of it and transmute it in a way to where the cycle of karma does not continue, and you have to continuously learn that lesson through other relationships, because that's a part of the cycle too, or going through loops and returning to things when you have the opportunity or a situation presents itself for you to rectify karma or change how you've reacted and responded in the past, and you choose that way that you've always done, you're going to repeat that pattern in other relationships. So you always get the opportunity to face your karma. It can happen with a stranger. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to have that awareness of yourself and your triggers. So I'm going to end this with a couple card pulls. I'm going to pull some major arcana and the aces in the tarot for someone or a collective of individuals who may want some additional divine guidance through this process of addressing and facing karma, dealing with emotional regulation, having the strength to restrain yourself, you know what I'm saying, when you're dealing with people, places, and things on your journey and on your path. So let's see. We got Ace of Swords. Let me pull another one. Yeah. The truth shall set you free every time. The truth will set you free every time. You know, like it'll always come to you. Like, you know, intuition will always neg you. Like if it's a decision that needs to be made and it's for your benefit, it'll always neg you. The truth will always be there. It's just, you know, we put it off and, you know, we try to bury it and try to distract ourselves from it, but it'll always be there. That's how you know it's something that needs to be dealt with, because it's not going to let up. It's not going to let up. Temperance. Perfect. Sagittarius energy. I seek. What do you seek? You seek truth. You seek truth. Put an action towards balancing yourself. That's what temperance is all about. Taking action and balancing yourself. Okay. Fasting. Okay. Doing the things that might not be comfortable or you might not like, but have to get done for the betterment and the benefit of yourself and possibly others. That's what temperance is about. That's Raphael, the angel of healing, Raphael. Okay, all the angels. Gabriel, message, Ace of Swords. Michael, protection, strength, again. 2 with that, power. Archangel Uriel, the flame of light, truth is always with you. Loss and love. Oh my goodness. Sometimes you learn true offering through loss. You make a passionate invitation for love to take over and bring her own plan instead of the ego's. And the love card. Divine source is the idea that no person, place, or thing is your salvation, only love itself. Yeah. So, you know, you discover that your ultimate love or ultimate connection is with your knowing of self. All right. Any loss that has happened in terms of relationship or anything for that matter, you know, like it says here, it's an invitation for love to take over. Like your ego attaches itself to things, people, places, and things. And when those things require separation, that's when we need to get into a more divine sense of love and connection, which is that of the self and with source or the Most High, God, or the divine. Because, you know, it's a form of an illusion when we lose certain things, right? Like I said, separation is a call for growth. Something needs to grow in that space. Something needs to be created in the space of separation. And so if that thing that needs to be created is more awareness, more self-reflection, more connection with yourself, more connection with a higher power, then so be it. But that loss or that void or that space that's being created is making way for something to evolve in the best way. You know what I mean? Like I said, an understanding or an awareness even. And that's usually what happens with loss. You know what I mean? And my heart is with people who may be grieving because, you know, we don't take that lightly. If you're grieving the loss of certain relationships or connections to places and things, like we don't take that lightly, but we understand that, you know, we learn what we learn in the time that we have with certain people, places, and things, and we learn to appreciate them and be grateful for those experiences, and we take away the things that brought the most joy and made us feel the most love too. Somebody needed to hear that. Okay. You want to be left with the most love. Again, we're talking about spite. You don't want to be left in spite when you're healing. The spite feelings are a part of the process, but it's not the end goal. If you're still feeling spite, there's still healing to do. There's still awareness to be had. Okay, because spite speaks to resentment and guilt and shame, which is, you know, lower vibration in the heart chakra. Okay. Like we want to feel at peace and with understanding and acceptance with our life experiences, with ourselves and with others. And it's not easy. Like, I have to say that it's not easy. Temperance is not easy. Temperance is not an easy energy to be in because it requires discipline. It requires focus. It requires solitude. It requires patience. It requires faith. It requires trust. So you learn all that. It's a learning experience. Sagittarius energy is all about higher learning and higher spiritual principles with Sagittarius energy. And it's a fire energy too. So it's about action. It's not about just thinking about things in your mind or meditating on it. You have to put foot to ground, okay, when it comes to the things that are coming to your awareness and what to do and how to improve. Okay. Peace.